Okay, let's talk about some games for the young learners classroom. I have all I need right here for a bunch of fun games. Some flashcards, some paper cups, small basket, and a ball. We talked in the section on teaching the topic, today's topic, about having circle time, passing the ball around, and passing the flashcards around. And now I'm going to talk about a few fun, simple games. The first game I talked about a little before is the touch game. So let's say I have a small class of maybe 4, 5, 6 students. I'll have them sit down, or if they're at a table, on the table, and I'll put down the flashcards, star, circle, heart. Depending on their level and how well they know the vocabulary, I might just start with a few cards. And then I would say, okay, Sally, touch the circle. And then she has to touch the circle. If she touches the wrong card, you can be like, no, that's not it. The circle. You can use hints, you can help them. Or sometimes if it's for fun, I might be like, buh, if they touch the wrong one. That's better maybe for a little bit older kids, 5, 6 years old. It's just really that simple. You can also say, okay, it's a star. And they have to touch the star. Or you can say, I see a heart. And they have to touch the heart. So you can say just a vocabulary word like circle, heart, star. You can say, it's a circle. You can say, I see a circle. Okay? So very simple. You're just reinforcing the vocabulary in a fun, simple game. Okay, the next game I'd like to talk about is the tower game. The tower game is very simple. You just need some paper cups and some flashcards. And basically what you're doing is you're building a tower with the flashcards and the paper cups. Just like that. Now, to make it a game for the students, well, you see I just dropped everything, so that's what makes it a game. So, if you have 3 or 4 or 5 students, this works better in small classes. I wouldn't use this with 30, 40 kids. So you put a cup down and you say to your student, okay, what shape is it? And the student has to answer triangle. Of course, if they can't answer, you can help them. And then you can, depending on their age, and I recommend this game from maybe 5 years old, 5, 6. You can do it with younger, but help them put it on, or if they can do it themselves, put it on, okay? And then as a teacher, you can put the cup, and then you say to the next student, what shape is it? And they say heart, and then you give them the card, and they put it on. And then you keep going with that until it all falls over, okay? So it's kind of fun, it's a little bit exciting. One word of caution, if you have little kids, really little kids, 3, 4 years old, they might get sad if the tower falls. So maybe when the tower falls, you're like, oh, yay, just make it kind of fun. But of course, you don't want to encourage them to knock the tower over, okay? So just another fun, very quick, very simple game, okay? Okay, another game we can play, and you can use this in small classes and large classes, is the ball toss game. This is very simple. I call these games, they're not necessarily competitive with other students, but it's kind of like a game-like activity. So we have the basket, we have the ball, okay? And I'll have the students stand up and make a line, and this would probably be on the floor, but it could be on a chair if you wanted to. And I would show, so let's say we have a line of 10 or 20 or 15 students. I would show them the card and say, again, what shape is it? And then square, it's a square. When they say it correctly, even if they have to repeat after you, you give them the ball and then, let them stand maybe, depending on their age, a little bit away, and they have to just toss it in. Now, it's up to you. Generally, especially if they're little kids, 3 or 4 years old, I let them try a few times if they miss it. If they're older, 5 or 6, they might get a little sad if they miss it. You can let them try twice maybe. Again, it depends on the size of your class. One thing when you're teaching English and you're playing games and activities with your students, always monitor, always be aware of your students. How are they feeling? Are they liking it? Are they having fun? Are they bored? Do they get sad if they miss it? And it could be different for different students. So I always try to make the games fairly simple, achievable, and keep it really fun. And you can do fun things as a teacher and say, oh, let me try. It's a square, and then throw the ball. Whoa, where'd the ball go? Something like that. Just make it fun and enjoyable. Another game I really like is called the What's Missing game. So if you have, especially this works really well with large classes of 20, 30, 40 students. If you have many students, you can ask for volunteers and get maybe 4 students to come up front. And you give each student a flashcard. So one is holding the heart, one is holding the circle, one student's holding the star, and one student's holding the square, okay? Then you ask the students in front, you say, close your eyes, and then you ask the students standing to take one of the students, you say, okay, put the flashcard behind your back, okay? And then you have 4 students standing, 3 students showing the flashcards, 1 student with it behind their back, and then you say to the students, the teacher says, what's missing? What's missing? So they have to look and think, oh, is it the heart? Is it the star? Is it the square? No, it's the circle. And of course, usually what I do is I'll say, what's missing? What's missing? And then if somebody says circle, said, okay, let's check. Yay, it's a circle, great job. And then ask the students again, okay, close your eyes, everybody, close your eyes. And then you can do the same thing, but this time, turn around the heart, okay? Or put the heart behind the student's back. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, next time, put 2 cards behind student's back. So there's only 2 cards left, and then the students have to guess 2 cards. One quick note too is I usually, after I've given the cards to students, say 1 student here, 1 student there, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll just I review the vocabulary again. So I'll say, okay, heart, and I'll point to it and say, circle, star, square. Okay, here we go. Everybody close your eyes. And then you start the game. And if you want to, what I often do if there's time is after the 4 students who came up front went one time, then I will have them sit down and have another group of 4 students come to the front. Another thing I want to talk about is if you have really large classes, sometimes these games can be challenging. So you have to adapt them to your situation. So let's say, for example, we talked about the touch game. So let's say I have a class of 30 students. Generally, when I teach that many students, they don't have desks, they don't have chairs, they're sitting on the floor. We're in a big hall or classroom and they're sitting on the floor. And I like to have them sit in rows. So they can either be rows this way, student, 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 or they can be rows, students in front and behind each other. So let's say I have 4 rows of students in front of me. I'll say, okay, row 1, this group of kids stand up. And then I say to the first kid, I call them by their name, the first student, and say, touch the star. And then that student comes up and touches the star. And then I say, okay, go to the back. And then he goes to the back of the line. And the next student goes, okay, touch the square. And we do it pretty quickly. I help them when necessary so that if there are 10 kids, they all go through in maybe a minute or 2 minutes. And then I have them sit down and have the next row stand up. They go through it, they do the game, they sit down, the next row stands up. So one good thing about this for the students who aren't actively playing is they're hearing, they're listening. They're hearing you when you say touch the square, touch the heart, touch the star, and hopefully they can see a little bit too, so they're reinforcing the vocabulary. So that's one way to adapt these games. I'm going to put some links to some more information on children's games. Games are really important, and I recommend using them in your English classes. I hope this is helpful.